Welcome, welcome everyone to Happy, Healthy, and Successful, a place of empowerment, a place where we're creating for everyone to step into new possibilities, new hope, and where you can reconnect to yourself, your potential, and your divine mission as a divine being. Welcome. And today I have Dr. Mary Baxter with us. Dr. Mary Baxter has been a consultant, intuitive consultant, and works with the Akashic Records. But I'm going to let her explain a little bit more what she does. So welcome, Dr. Mary.
Thank you, Maria. I'm so happy to be here and excited to spend this time with you. And yes, I'm an intuitive consultant reading from the Akashic Records, or that's where I see the information coming from in connecting with people. And I've been doing it almost 30 years, working in this way. I love it. I really love it's so interesting. And it is, to me, it's always fascinating and personally transformational to be able to read for people. And it was a gift for me when I had my first reading, which is what put me on the path to doing this. Because I felt even as a little girl that I was here to help. I was to help, be a helper. And I built that up in my mind. I think that meant I had to be a perfect person. If I was going to be a helper, I had to be perfect. I shouldn't have any issues, no problems or whatever, just sweep those things away. And my life wasn't like that. I don't think anyone's is, but it was kind of a surprise to me. And it was really through learning the Akashic perspective, this incredible open view of who we are and our place in life, and opening up reincarnation and ideas like that, concepts like that I think give us hope.
Absolutely.
Just a beautiful hope. And so that happened for me in a time in my life where I felt really troubled and really desperate, and I didn't know what to do. And this was kind of a far out idea, but I trusted the person who suggested it, and it was just changed my life. And I mean, I hope I'm changing lives in that way by doing this kind of work.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. And in my body of work, I also about open up or go into or invite people to step into their own library of information. And I love it because there's so much there for us to know, understand of who we've been, but also what's available to us in terms of wisdom. And when we work with that information, we, first of all, can heal parts of ourselves and been waiting to be healed, and we signed up to heal in this journey, but also create something different. We can embody more of our wisdom. We can create a different reality for ourselves. So it's very empowering. And it supports us as divine humans and what we're here to do to evolve, right? And to evolve and become the light, the beacon of light, and the greatest version of ourselves, to create a new space and anchor new frequencies for change, transformation, and healing. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Tell us a little bit about before you stepped into this. Many of us often move into what is expected. Going to college, going to corporate America. We follow what's expected of us. And sometimes we get caught up with it. And sometimes we realize it's not working for us. And that may show up in our happiness and joy, even in our health. And we want to offer today the possibility or the ease of that transition for our audience. For those that are wondering what's next for them or hoping to change their reality, how can they see that possibility for themselves, know the possibility for themselves? Any thoughts around?
I think that we can forget actually what we want to do when faced with what life seems to be bringing our way. And very traditional. I wanted to be a helper. I really was into, emotional, psychological thinking. And so I thought I would become a clinical psychologist. But of course, I also didn't actually research what that meant or what the education would be like. But I was very, very determined. And so first I became a special education teacher, thinking, oh, well, this will give me some experience and go on from there. And thinking outside of the box, and then finding when it came to applying to graduate school in psychology, not only did I almost fail the graduate record exam in that area only, everything else was like, you can do it, but not this. Very strange. And when I got into it, I found it so upsetting. And the reason for it was the animal research, and specifically research on cats. That just threw me over the edge. So I didn't even make it through the first semester. And it was kind of shocking to me, though, because I was like about 28 years old by this time, following a plan that now was gone. And what was I going to do? Well, I was in New York City, which was a big change from living in the suburbs of Milwaukee and in Milwaukee, and just learned to live there and what the city was about, and thinking really about what am I going to do? And I got into fiber work and working with my hands, which I found really, I was weaving, learned how to spin yarn, doing all kinds of stitching and felting. And that was so healing for me. It was just like in these activities. And I started to think about women and how this was the way of women forever, doing this handwork alone or in groups or within their families and providing this, but they had to be having the experience I was, which was taking me into meditation. In a very spontaneous way, and really being able to feel in a flow and receive information, experiences I was used to in times of lower stress, in my life. So that happened. And, I went back to teaching and doing, living along. And then I made some very unusual choices in relationships and where I was putting my devotion. And it was through that and the challenges that came with it that I learned to read the records.
Interesting.
And a whole different life. Yeah.
Interesting. So going back to what you were sharing about, practice or a craft or creating with your hands that allow you to move into the flow and even allow you to receive messages and hear yourself, and then this journey into accessing the records. Just talk a little bit about intuition, because you also say you made some interesting decisions. And I think we all make decisions. And when they don't really pan out, when we don't get the expectation that we wanted, we stop trusting that intuition, or we stop trusting our ability to make decisions. Share a little bit about intuition and, first of all, what it is, just for the audience, and positive, negative messages from the intuition, or not understanding or labeling them as positive or negative. And how do we lean into and really trust?
Well, intuition it's knowing without the facts, which can be very upsetting to fact-oriented thinking, which is what we're pretty much trained to do, is be in the rational mind, the pros, the cons, the whole thing, which is great. I mean, I think the intuition needs to be a friend. That our rational mind and our intuition need to work together. And that can be a really clear working mind. Often with clients, difficulty meditating. I can't meditate. I can't, just that feeling. And usually what they're talking about is sitting and being, quiet, close my eyes, and even for 10 minutes. And I get that, that can be really difficult, but this is why I am so aware there's a zone, a theta wave, a state of mind, of brain wave that very nice to sit and go into meditation. But like I was saying, when I got into working with my hands, I would find myself going there. People have this happen when they're walking or running or spending time in nature. I've had it happen to me while vacuuming and cleaning, like washing things, like just sort of filing used to be a big thing. I worked as in offices for a while, and there'd be this filing, and I found I really liked it because it was something I could do, and then something else would happen in the calming of my mind. Yeah.
So going back to intuition and trusting your intuition. So we teach about the divine within you. We teach about trusting yourself, learning to trust yourself. What are some of the tools, some of the practices that you can share when somebody's had a traumatic experience and they're not trusting themselves, or when somebody's had a loss based on the decisions that they're made and they're not trusting themselves, or someone's had just a series of challenges and they're no longer trusting themselves? I mean, there's a lot to say around that. It's, of course, what we choose in this world and how we're participating, and it is part of our evolution. But we can come back to that place. We can come back to the place of trust, surrender. What are some of our practices?
One is that we need to be open to outcomes. We think we want something, so we might set an intention, visualize it, ask questions, but if we're very attached to how things turn out, we might not recognize that it's all working perfectly. So this happens all the time. And it's not, I think, that you can't trust your intuition. It's like you're not able to interpret the answer or what has come. And when we don't get what we want, we think we made a mistake. Or if something really upsetting happens, oh, it's a mistake, it shouldn't have happened, what could I have done? Sets into a kind of a spiral that takes us out of the moment, which is the purpose, I think, of being calm, being centered, and dealing with the world with a little bit of distance. So when we think our intuition hasn't worked, I usually find we just didn't know what it meant, like what we were actually asking for. And when I work with clients, like their guides will start asking them questions to lead them into their own answer of what they were thinking and what they did and what this means. And then how do you transform it? And like for this part, with intuition, I really like verification. So I teach and I use pendulum dowsing and muscle testing as a verification, and also like to receive answers because I like the simplicity of it, the learning the yes or no, the positive or negative, and then going in for the nuances. Like that's a way for me that a whole body of information opens up that I can relate that I wouldn't be, like
Right.
asking minuscule questions for. And then it's good to have an intuition friend, an intuitive buddy that you learn how to, if you're too involved, like emotionally
Mm-hmm.
charged about a
Mm-hmm.
situation, that you have someone you can ask. And that
Right.
there are ways you can ask where you don't even divulge your question. If you have concerns, but
Mm-hmm.
still wanting to get a perspective that would be more neutral. So that's
Mm-hmm.
like really where you, your intuition will work, especially if you're neutral. You'll be able to understand the results and what to do next. Another thing I think is really important is trying to get too far too fast.
Mm-hmm.
So what you really want to know, I think, is not what's going to happen in 10 years or 5 years or 4 months from now, or what's going to happen, as much as what's the best thing right now
Mm-hmm.
for decisions that need to be made, and then follow through on that, because that's how the next step
Mm-hmm.
can open up, and moving along like that with more, like with patience and trust.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So a couple key nuggets there. One is to detach and be neutral, and that's really important. So oftentimes it's difficult to do that if we're still attached, or it's difficult to make good decisions if we're still attached to the outcome or the result. So first of all, that decision is important to come from a clear place, from a place where it's heart center, it's in the highest good of all, and we're not allowing our ego or any other part of ourselves to be part of that decision making. And two, especially for judging ourselves from the past, and that's part of the reason why we're not trusting, is work through that healing the past and allow ourselves again to be in that neutral place, because we're no longer living in the past, we're no longer living in the future, we're in the present moment. And then our decisions will be clear, there'll be a clear intention connected to how we're making decisions. And in doing so, it allows us to trust more. It allows us to lean into more, our divine self and the wisdom within us. So any of these practices are beautiful. Having a friend that you can check in with, uh, having tools that you can use to confirm, and again, you being unattached to results, being unattached to the outcome, and making the decisions from a pure intention, which that creates a lot of success. Also releasing any fear, any insecurities and doubt, because that, even if it's good decision, that will create uh, other energies that will come in and create challenges. So beautiful and perfect. Tell us a little bit about the relationship with the Akashic Records, incarnation, and past life.
Oh, I love this. I do hundreds of past life readings. Not specifically that, but if you're in the records and there's relationship situations going on, family, work, all the kinds of things we're involved in and the people who are there. And I just find that we've known them before. And there is a history. Families are coming back as families, and in different configurations, or maybe the same.
Mhm.
Friends. It's very, very unique kind of perspective. And then looking at a past life, what happens for me, but most people that I'm aware of who talk about doing this, is you get a flash of information that gives the whole story of
Mhm.
what is it, and the importance of that particular lifetime. And what I'm always looking at is, like, the first lifetime I would read for someone is, what is the most significant past life to this incarnation?
Mhm.
And there it will be. And it'll usually have a historic
Mhm.
date, timeline. But I'm also getting more the idea that everything is all happening at once.
Mhm.
we're set up to see things in a certain way. We live in time and space. We understand history. Like that's how we're set up in a physical body. So it's going to look that way. But from the idea that it is all happening at once, like all of these lifetimes, like we're these different characters. And
expressions of ourselves, yes.
yes, you could start, you get like how it's, wow, you're dealing with an issue that was very, very important and it's still working itself out now. So we can have like a lot more compassion and understanding of the people around us and the circumstances we find ourselves in by looking at who we were, who they were, what were we doing, and very often in our lifetime now, what triggers us the most is very much past life related, and things that we think like, oh, they really make us angry, or we hate that, like that's a message, like, honey, that could have been you, and to start to release the judgment and the, like the box put around this time frame. I just love the understanding that it can provide, and it can be resisted because it's so profound. I think, if you want to hold on to feelings of anger or frustration, if you hold on to those, starting to understand from an Akashic and reincarnation perspective could just like mellow out those because those are interferences.
Right.
We're not going to make an intelligent, intuitive choice in anger.
Yeah.
Or it's not going to be there.
Very good. So understanding or having an awareness or even having a reading or tapping into the Akashic Records, you understand that we've been here and we're here having many expressions of ourselves or experiences of ourselves, maybe as humans, maybe as other beings out in other galaxies. And you can connect to the consciousness of all the expressions of yourself, gather wisdom, lessons, learnings, help you heal, and especially if you brought karma from another lifetime, help you work through that karma to complete and move into the next level of your ascension. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Any other messages you can share with the audience or you'd like to share with the audiences before we complete today?
I just really, this is like light re-emerging. And I feel that this coming year is just a breakthrough year for so many people. And we've been through a lot, just the last 5 years, even leading up to COVID, going through the results of that. And, being aware of everything happening all over the world, to break through all of it and bring more light. I feel that we want to recognize the oneness of our spirits, that we are one humanity and we are one world, even including the animals and the plants and the elements, the water, the earth, of all of it, the air. It's all involved in what's happening now. And so when we make a wish or a prayer or an intention and we say in the highest good of all, that's what all means to me. And, get humanity out of the way once in a while, which nature does from time to time over thousands of years. And I think we have such a desire to find happiness, to find peace, and not just for ourselves. And we do that through just being glad we're alive, be glad for it, showing gratitude. And no matter what is happening, thing, it's the hardest thing is to be thankful. It feels fake, even like, oh yeah, I'm thankful for this, I think a rotten thing, that just happened. But then you ask, like, your higher self, how do I look at this differently?
Mm-hmm.
What's
Mm-hmm.
really going on here? How
Mm-hmm.
do I see it? Show it to me differently. And I think to begin the day with gratitude, like somehow in that, I'm getting up, I'm going to go make espresso, and I'm just walking around. It's how I wake up, look at, feed the cat, feed the fish. And then I think of it, and I have a blessing that I say that is about letting the creator light emerge, grow, expand, for my guides and my teachers to be present, for this day to be filled with truth, accuracy in my work, and love and healing in the highest good of all.
Beautiful.
And it is a beautiful way to, remembering to bring it all in right at the start of the day before anybody else gets involved.
Beautiful, beautiful. So start your day with gratitude, be open to receive, and be a divine channel for all that is available and possible for you. And as you intend to create, as you ask for new possibilities, include in the highest good of all, moving into that oneness, moving into unconditional love, one love. Thank you, Dr. Mary. If the audience wanted to connect with you, how do they get a hold of you?
I'm glad that you asked, or I would have forgotten all about it. My website is theinnernowing.com. And so there's a lot of information there about the kinds of offerings in terms of readings and so forth, classes, and a lot of information like about what I'm looking at in the Akashic Records, the kinds of things I have found. So that is a great place to go. And you can join the community there with your first name and email, and you'll receive a PDF of my guide called Getting Started with Your Pendulum, which teaches, of course, how to use the pendulum, but it really gives I think a great basic education on what is intuition and how can you use it. Why would you want to, how you would use it. And it's like 50 pages. So this is not a heavy read with like systems to go. You could do that later, but this is how to bring it into your life. And I would also offer anyone who mentions watching this summit that they can have a 20-minute Akashic consultation with me, free as a gift, which I would love to do. I love introducing people to me, and meeting them and learning about the work and what they might be able to do with it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here with us, and thank you for being part of the summit. And thank you to our audience. And we, again, are here to share possibility, hope, inspiration, guided action. And I hope that you received a lot of great information today and you're ready to take action. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Thank you.